Everybody, should we get started? Allison, you want to go ahead? Shall we go ahead and get started?
Yeah, we can get started, I think.
All right. Anybody opposes, please. If you're not here and you don't want us to start, please speak up now. And yeah, so let's see. Hello, welcome everybody to our October admin user group meeting, Salesforce, post Dreamforce, post winter release. Yeah, so welcome. Let's get a quick agenda of what we're going to be discussing today. We've got to do some introductions. We've got 8 of us here, and then so we'll just ask if you want to say hello and introduce yourself. We'll give you a hot topic to share, and then we'll get into the rest of this, which is my Dreamforce recap, essentially, from my eyes. A quick version of the Winter 26 release notes, some of the highlights, hopefully highlights. And then we'll get into our main topic, which is SOQL tips, tricks, and tools that we was suggested as a topic. And so we've got some things. And I thank you everybody who provided feedback and suggestions as well for that. We'll definitely you'll see that in there as well. So let's talk about introductions. Well, obviously, I think hopefully you know. I'm Michael Montez. I work for NORC, which is based out of Chicago. It is the National Opinion Research Center. We do it's a nonprofit, nonpartisan research organization, and we are partnered with the University of Chicago. So, and of course, Allison.
I'm Allison Rouse. I co-lead the group here with Michael. I work for a company called CS2 Marketing. We're an agency. Most of our clients are B2B SaaS companies, and we help them with everything from their lead to revenue process, both with their marketing automation tools, their BI tools, but of course Salesforce. So yeah, looking forward to chatting with y'all today.
Yeah, so we'll just do a quick round up, and I'll just call you out if you'd like to come off mute and say hello after I call your name. That'd be great. Just tell us who you are, which company you work with, and did you get to go to Dreamforce this year? Did you go to Dreamforce, or do you SOQL? So hopefully that makes sense as a question. And so let's go from my list here. Is it Verity?
Yeah, it's Verity. I'm Verity. I work for Interwell Health. I have never been to Dreamforce, so I didn't go this year either. And do I SOQL? I do at this job. And I've worked in the Salesforce ecosystem since 2014 and hadn't before then. And then I discovered that working at this company, almost everything is custom code. And so and most things were hidden from the UI. So I had to learn on the fly, and all of my colleagues have a development background, unlike me. So I sort of just learned it kind of on my own, not very well.
Nice. Well, I mean, that's how a lot of us got our start, right? It's thrown in the deep end, but we're all swimming, so it's working. All right, Shanks, would you like to come up and say hello?
Hey, how's it going? My name is Shanks. I'm the co-lead of the nonprofit user group here in Portland. Our next meeting, by the way, will be November 13th, co-meeting with the admin group, so hope to see you guys there. I work at the Oregon Humane Society. Have been there for about 3 years and focus mostly on kind of bringing in third-party data into our system. So use a lot of MuleSoft and Salesforce flow automation. I was at Dreamforce. It was crazy as usual. I presented Wednesday morning, which was pretty cool. I don't really use SOQL. I will occasionally, but rarely, because in between the times that I do use it, I forget how to use it. So it always takes time to remember how to do it when I need to do it, unfortunately.
Yeah, that happens. So yes, me too. Remember, and then I forget. John, would you like to say hello?
Hi, yeah, I'm John McDermott. I do freelance consulting for a handful of nonprofits using Salesforce and PSP. And I do a little bit of SOQL, mostly in Workbench, and usually when I just need something quick and I don't want to create a report.
Definitely a use case because we're going to get into that for sure. Shivam? Hello, we're not hearing you. If you're trying to. Yep, there you are. Very soft. Hello.
Yeah, hello. Yeah.
Yes.
Actually, it's the morning time in India, so that's why I connected.
No problem.
Hello, my name is Shivam. I'm currently I connect with you living in India, and so I'm newcomer in the Salesforce. So I never use SOQL, but I will connect with you all, so we'll learn something new. That's why.
Perfect. Welcome. Thanks for joining us. Jennifer.
Hi, I'm Jen Day. Currently unemployed, but starting my own independent Salesforce consulting company. So that's been fun. Didn't go to Dreamforce this year, but my friend worked on it from a production standpoint, so I definitely heard a lot about what was happening. And don't do a lot of SOQL. I only use it in the Salesforce Inspector Reloaded to pull up quick references for things so I don't have to go into the data loader or something. So that's kind of my background.
Nice. Welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Nice to see you again. I haven't been around in a while.
Well, you're always welcome whenever we're there. Feel free to stop by. Nick.
Hey, I'm Nick. I was with a company called Copilot, but I actually got laid off last Wednesday during Dreamforce. Well, I was not at Dreamforce, but it was during that time. Yeah, so I'm kind of looking. I'm also partly looking to start my own kind of independent thing, freelancing. So, be doing that for at least the next 6 months. So it's looking promising. I'm working with a nonprofit right now to migrate from NPSP to Nonprofit Cloud, which is now called Agentforce Nonprofit, which is really stupid. But whatever. And and then do I SOQL? I almost exclusively SOQL. I don't remember last time I used a report just to find data. So I've probably used outside of creating a report for that someone needs, I haven't created a report for myself in many years. So
well, perfect as well. We'll queue you up for some quick wins on that. We've got a couple of those, but yeah, thank you. Welcome, and sorry about the job. I would look forward to the next thing for sure.
Same.
Okay, Michelle Grant, would you like to introduce yourself? If not, that's fine.
Sure. I was just looking for the unmute.
There you go.
Yeah. Hi, Michelle Grant. Right now I'm with a nonprofit called Start Early. I was recently with Salesforce and the office was closed. So now I'm at this nonprofit since May. And I did not Dreamforce. Travel is hard for me right now. I do SOQL. Not right now, day to day, but I do it, and I do like SOQL. It's maybe weird, but yeah.
Okay, well, welcome. Peter, hello.
Unmute. Peter Gutman, self-employed. Did not Dreamforce. Do not SOQL. So hoping to learn once again from all y'all.
That's what it's all about. Perfect.
There we go,
welcome.
Michael.
Jan, how am I saying? I am a terrible reader and writer, so I apologize for simple and complex names. I have trouble with all of them equally. So,
it's not very usual name. So yeah, my name is Janne Sepp. And I'm with the Oregon Environmental Council. I've been there almost 4 years. I didn't go to Dreamforce, but I went on, watched online broadcasts. So here and there, as my work allowed me. I do not use the SOQL, but I've been programming with the SQL, which is kind of older version. So kind of interested to learn and catch up with things. So yeah.
Great. Well, thank you for joining us. Welcome. And Sean.
Yes, hi, thank you. Sean Jacqua, I work with US Bank. I've been with US Bank for about, and work with Salesforce for about 7 years now. I did not attend Dreamforce. I did stream a handful of the sessions on Salesforce Plus, and I am not, I do not SQL.
No problem. Maybe you will after this one. This will be the start of something amazing for everybody, including myself, because I do not SOQL as well. Allison was sharing some use cases, and other people were sharing with me, and it's something I probably should have been doing at least for more than the past 3 years. But that's okay. We'll get into it. But first, Dreamforce recap. I'd like to share with you my experience with Dreamforce. Parts of it. Some of the big takeaways that I've experienced there. Again, for anybody who did attend or anybody who didn't attend, questions just in general, please feel free to jump in at any time and ask. Anybody that can share is always welcome to hop in and answer questions or help facilitate. This is not a monologue by any means. This is just what we've got here. So yeah, so let me just kind of go over the highlights as I saw them as far as Dreamforce is concerned. The big two that I saw there was the Agentforce 360 and this data, formerly Data Cloud, now Data 360. And the big announcements are that, well, from a marketing perspective, it's a little bit more of the same, kind of a rebranding of some things. But generally speaking, Agent 360 and Data 360 are turning your organization into an agentic organization by unifying all the data in one space so that it can be leveraged by the AI systems, and the data can be pulled in and then used by Agentforce and the agents. So how do I want to explain? How do I want to say this? Like, you know, a lot of the results are that you end up, or the users are going to be asked, you know, there's questions based. We've all kind of used our chat bots, and we kind of play around with Perplexity and ChatGPT and those things where we're asking it questions and then it's giving us, you know, results. That's going to take place within your org, but the data source, or the teachings, the learnings, the AI's brain is really based off of your organization's content. So whether it's your Salesforce plus your MuleSoft connectors to your other systems, whatever is living in that Data 360 cloud, that becomes part of the knowledge that the Agentforce or the agent can pull from. So support documents for people who are coming in to have questions about how to do something, or sales persons who are asking about deals related to, you know, their current deals, or C-level people coming in asking questions about the data. How do we, you know, what is our path to pipeline? What are our current, you know, goal achievements, things like that. As long as that information is kind of part of that data cloud, a Data 360 solution that can be kind of questioned within Agentforce 360 through the various chatbots. It's interesting. It's going to take time, as everything does with Salesforce and And all these tools, they don't happen overnight, and they are definitely not quick to launch. But it's going to be interesting. So I was listening to someone share about kind of they're more of a junior admin, and they were talking to their senior admin, or their boss, if you will, for lack of a better term, about what they should focus on. And it got me thinking, if I was getting started today, kind of where would I point my, where would I focus on the Salesforce? And I think Data 360 is really the place where I would kind of put that in there, because that's really all about getting those connections set up. Shanks, I know Shanks just jumped off, but like Data 360 is kind of like a little bit. I want to say this hedgingly. It's like a MuleSoft Lite. They have a lot of connectors that are pre-built, ready to go to connect your data sources. But having, doing that, getting that set up properly is going to take some time. But knowing what's going on there as you kind of set those up, that's going to be very important, because that's going to be the crux of the knowledge base that is the agent going to be using to answer questions about the data that's in your org. So important, interesting. It's going to take some time still, as always, but it's coming, for better or for worse. So just something to think about that is in there. So yeah, anybody have any questions about Agent 360? I don't know that I presented that great, but there are plenty of resources that you can go, and I'll get to that at the end of this particular slide section about where your other resources might go. But if you have any questions or anything, just feel free to jump in. Or if anybody has another take on Data 360 or Agentforce 360, please feel free to share. It's be great. Give it 2 seconds. 3 seconds. All right. So there was also conversations. If you were able to check out the True to the Core series, or the speed presentation, one of the things they talked about was the reinvestment into the community, whether it's the Salesforce community or this introducing the architects. Now they're calling it the Salesforce Architecture Center. But if you were not aware, the Architecture Center, which all the frameworks and decision guides and those kinds of things were kind of pulled down, I think right around DX or right before. Well, they brought them all back. They rehired the internal architects, and they relaunched the program for architects, and they rebuilt the Architecture Center, and they've got some new decision guides, they've got some new basics, they've got some new frameworks, and they've got some new diagrams up there that are really helpful if you want to make a case for how to do something within your Salesforce org. So myself, I've used this a lot to convince / nudge people to say, this is how I'm building this thing, and this is why I'm building it this way. And the main reason that I've done this is because it's how it's recommended by the architects and Salesforce architects, in-house architects. So that's why we're kind of doing it. And people generally don't push back too much on that after you kind of present them with that information. So it's been relaunched, and it's really useful. So there's a link there to the Architecture Center, architects.salesforce.com. Allison, did you want to jump on architects as well?
Oh yeah, I just wanted to mention too, like as a consultant, I work in a lot of different orgs, and I see a lot of different like anti-patterns in terms of the way people set up their automation. And often some of our clients, they I don't want to call their baby ugly or anything, but the architecture guide's really helpful too, to point to the admins who may not be aware that that resource is available, as to how automation should be built. Like, I especially reference the record triggered automation guide quite a bit, to explain, like, because I think a lot of people drink the Kool-Aid when it came to like Process Builder, for example. building one process per object, where you don't need to do that so much with flow, but there's still a lot of folks who do the like one flow or a couple of flows per object as opposed to like more functional flows, and the record trigger automation guide goes into that quite a bit. So
Yeah, it's a really good resource, and can be a heavy read, but it's well worth it. And a lot of times, it's really good for wrapping your head around some of the concepts that are, especially as they start to evolve. Because I believe there is like even now an agent force framework, an agent force decision guide on how to think about how to use these tools as they start to roll out. So definitely someplace you'll want to check out for sure. Nick, you have something?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I mean, the decision guides and the well-architected framework has been very important and instrumental in my career for sure. So great resource, highly recommend. Also, Allison, I mean, I didn't watch Chew the Core, so a little out of touch with Dreamforce stuff right now. But I didn't know that they were relaunching the I guess now they call it an Architect Center. But then I went to the decision guides, and I'm not actually finding the record triggered one, which is the one I use the most. So that's kind of crazy right now. But
oh yeah,
might be rebuilding it.
Yeah, maybe. I mean,
oh yeah,
in the process of rebuild.
I swear I just looked at this.
Yeah, I'd probably. I mean, it would have been there like a week ago. Like this is. I was on this website not long ago because I use it all the time, but that's yeah, just gone. So weird.
Oh dang. Okay, yeah, I reference that all the time.
New update coming soon.
Yeah, I gotta find like see if I can URL hack it or somehow.
Sure. All right, so let's see. Next item. LDS2, the Lightning Design System 2.0, is ready. Like if you go into your org, you can enable this. It'll bring the biggest change, and they're all very excited about this. I don't know as much, doesn't affect me as much, but apparently dark mode, the ability to go dark mode on Salesforce is available. You do have to convert or turn on Lightning like LDS2 in your org. You can do it in a sandbox first if you want. But then what that enables the user to do is enable dark mode, but there's also an adjustment to comfy and compact, and it also allows you as the admin or the admin team to do better custom colorization within Salesforce. So you have it's a lot more flexible. A bigger item is for Lightning Web Components. The way that you code them for LDS is you have an all new codes that you put within your CSS to trigger these kind of universal conversions. So if you build a Lightning Web Component and you use the old version and the user switches to dark mode, your Lightning Web Component will not have dark mode because you don't have the proper, tag for it for the CSS. So there is some kind of changeover that needs to be done if you're using custom Lightning Web Components or custom CSS within your Salesforce. But for the most part, I think for most users, you could probably just turn this on and give your users a dark mode if that's what they wanted, plus some of the other features. So I'll put a link. There's a link there to the SLDS2 page, and it does go over all like kind of the why we did it and what's it useful and how's it gonna help you. This is also a scenario where where LDS2 is the future of Salesforce. So eventually all aesthetic changes to Salesforce is going to happen here first. Similar to the classic to Lightning transition, where we're going to move you over to Lightning, and then we're going to start building and go forward. All the adjustments are going to be Lightning based. Now, all the aesthetic design changes they make are going to be geared towards the Lightning Design System 2.0. So it's going to take a little bit of time, but definitely consider making that changeover sooner rather than later, especially if you don't have a ton of like custom components or custom design within your your Lightning within your Salesforce. So, any questions on that? Thoughts? Has anybody converted, changed over, or flipped the switch? All right.
I've had it on a couple of new orgs, and it's all right. It's a little adjustment, but it's all preference.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it's groundbreaking necessarily, but
Right. It's cleaner fonts, cleaner spacing, cleaner color. There's a little more contrast on colors. There's a little more also, I think, universal accessibility, I think, is a big
yeah,
part of it as well.
right.
So if you have accessibility issues, yeah. So, oh, and there's the record trigger guide. Allison found it.
Well, not quite. It's
Kind of found
it seems like there's aspects of what was in it in that article, but it's slightly different.
Right. I know. Like this, yeah, this isn't new either. Man, I'm trying desperately to find it right now. I'm on like archive.org trying to see if I can get the thing from like the cache
Yeah.
version, but we'll see.
I know I have the
It's
old
somewhere out there.
I know I have the old URL somewhere because I
Right.
sent
I know.
it to a
That's
million
what.
people.
Well, I also sent to a million people, but I don't have access to any of those systems now. So.
Yeah. Oh,
but-
yeah.
So well, I'll find it. I'll find it.
So I'm just waiting for my alarm to go off. It's going to go off at 5 o'clock. I'm watching it. Okay. Anyway, next one. Okay. So if you weren't able to go, here's a link to you can go to dreamforce.com and get access to the videos. They are slowly rolling out. I think there's over 75 that are available now. The sessions, I think Shank's session might be there as well. But yeah, there's the link there to Salesforce Plus, or go to Salesforce Plus, and then you'll see there's the Dreamforce section, and then all the videos that they are releasing. I think they're all there, but not all of them have the recordings. So if that makes sense, they're all available so you can see what's coming. And then some of them are just waiting for the recordings to be posted, so the video to be posted. But all the little screenshots are there and the titles are there. So something to note there. And that is my Dreamforce recap. Does anybody have any questions or thoughts, Peter? No? All right. So let's talk a little about Winter 26. This is going to be the quick version, not the whole hour and a half session hour session that we usually do. So Dreamforce, obviously, they went over a lot of this in the session, in the various sessions, the roadmaps and things like that. But here are a couple of things that we saw that kind of, I think, are top of mind for what's just came out in the last release, which was now 2 weeks old, I think. So if you don't know, you've been updated. First of all, they've always had this, but I just want to shout out to this. There is a trailhead module that goes over each release. In this case, Winter 26. They have the highlights. This is very useful. It breaks it down by various sections, whether it's flows, sales, service, etc. So take a look at this as well. If you've got, there are a lot of other things to look at as far as the 26 release that we're not going to go over here today. But that module is very helpful, and of course, it comes out every release cycle as well. So there's a whole trail mix and trailhead module. But for Lightning reports and dashboards, let's go over some of the big wins for us. Number one, reference lines in dashboard charts. So not just charts, but now on your dashboard chart, you can add a reference line easily and quickly, just by going in and selecting the show reference line and then giving obviously the information that you want to put on there. So very helpful to your end users who need a goal, if you will. Very helpful. Let's see. Also, we talked a little bit about multi-sort and sort. I think sort was released last or in the spring, summer or spring, but now you can do multi-column sort. So you can do sort by this, then by this, then by this, up to 5 columns. and that'll get you your ability to sort list views. So very nice. Again, if you want to sort by score, then by grade, then by whatever, you have that option now, or your users can do such a thing. So check that out. Also, again, part of the overarching usefulness of Salesforce. You can also, like I said, you can pre build these into your list views and then kind of save them and share them, and they're kind of ready to go. So very helpful, very useful overall. Good UI change. For the customization section, we've got more list views, but this time it is type ahead. So here's a little pet peeve, or a little pin behind. You create a list view. You can click on that select fields to display, and it happens to be a list view for your opportunities objects, which has all 850 fields in use, right? And of course, they're all like an equal amount of A's and B's and C's. So what do you have to do? You have to scroll to get down to the, year-to-date field, which is Y, right? Well, now you can just type ahead. So you type in Y, T, or year, hit the letter, and it'll bounce to the first item in that alphabetically. So if you hit the Y, it will jump down to the first field that's a Y, and then you can move it over. So no more scrolling as much. You still have to scroll to the rest of the Y's and the rest of the S's, but at least you can jump to the S's and jump to the T's and jump to the Y's with just a keyboard to get you there. So again, little things that are make a big deal, make a big difference for all of us. Let's see, field history tracking got revamped. So if you haven't seen the new field history tracking, check it out. It's supposed to be a lot easier to access your objects, and then with the fields within those objects, turn on, turn off field history tracking for the fields and all that kind of stuff. So same place as it was before, set up, search for field history tracking on the sidebar, and then go there. I took a screenshot here of my org, field history tracking. This is right out of my production org. This is what it looks like now. It's got a little summary at the top as well. And then you can always search in that search box for the field or the object there as well. So nice little cleanup within that system. Oops. Salesforce flows. So let's talk about flows. One of my favorite tools that I use on a daily basis, and again, very powerful. I think we've all been friends of it. This new one, so I put this in here, but I've been on the phone with Salesforce support, so I don't know. I'm going to hedge this and say, looks great. I haven't been able to prove that it works, and it's supposed to be in production. So I don't know if I'm doing it wrong or something else. But if you wanted to try this and let me know if it works for you, I would really appreciate it. But here's what it's supposed to do. Last time we talked about it, flow approval orchestrations, which is the new approvals process, or the new and improved approvals process that uses the orchestration, Salesforce orchestration, to do approvals. Well, one of the things that it does not do, or did not do, is in order to trigger an approval, you had to trigger it from through a record triggered flow, which is conditional, or through a button. So a non-triggered flow that was attached to a button. And what this is supposed to do is supposed to be a special action that allows you to call your approval flow orchestration from within your screen flow. So if I say screen flow, element, and then I say, are you ready to submit this for approval? They say yes. I could then put in an action element that would then call that approval orchestration and kick off the approval. That's what it's supposed to do. Again, with my recent testing and my conversations with support, this is what it should look like when you do that, when you put that action in there. I'm not having that same experience, but who's to say that I'm right? But that's what it's supposed to do. The request and approval action is supposed to allow you to call an orchestration from here. So that was a big deal, and I was excited for it. But as soon as I get it to work, I'll let you know and tell you if you should still be excited, or if there's a gotcha somewhere that you need to think about. With this, I think I also want to do at some point revisit the flow approval orchestration to kind of show you some of the mistakes that I made in my first initial ones, to help you hopefully not make the same mistakes, or just answer any questions, or have a conversation about how this thing can be leveraged, because it is pretty powerful, this flow orchestration, but it is also lacking some documentation, for lack of a better term. But it's pretty cool. Hopefully it's going to work. Okay. Hey there. Do you have a flow and don't know what changed between the two versions that you recently made adjustments to? Well, now you can compare your versions. Version 10 and version 11. What did I change? And did I make a mistake? Or what did I change here? Version 1, version 9. Hey, let's take a look at those things. You can compare your flow versions from the automation app or from within the flow setup area. So just go there to compare flows, compare versions, and then you get to pick your version of the same flow, obviously, and it'll tell you what changed between the two, what's different about the two. So it's really, really useful. It can be really helpful, especially if you're doing what we do, is we screw things up and deploy them and then bring them back and then forget. So a lot of fun that way. But look into that too as well. Very helpful.
Or if you have like multiple admins who are working on things and like, what did you change here? And just need to know.
Yeah. If you're not the only person working on the flow and somebody else is doing something, it's not knowing what happened is a true pain point.
I'm sure some of us have all done that. Like, I've used VS Code to kind of compare in the past, but it's nice that it's in the UI.
Yeah, it's very helpful. Very helpful. Okay, and again on flows, last thing is all the changes to run flows. Users need a permission to run flows. So that's every user that's going to run a flow. That's any user that could potentially do an approval or execute a flow, a screen flow that you're doing, or an automated trigger, anything like that. You need to have a run flows permission available in their permission set or profile or something starting, looks like here, starting January 1st, the end of this year. So this is one of those changes that got pushed and pushed and pushed, and then people forgot about it. So I just want to remind everybody that if you're currently don't have a permission set, a universal permission set for all your users or something along those lines that has the run flows permission enabled, think about that. Do some testing, enable this, release in your sandbox, and then test that against your users and see if they run into errors. But yeah, it's going to be finally turned on. The requirement is going to be enabled for your users. So something to look at, something to think about. All right. Have one more? No, that was the end of my recap. Did anybody have any questions about, in general, the release, or any release items that they wanted to share, or think that they saw were useful, powerful, redundant? Cool. All right. Okay, let's talk a little bit about this. SOQL tips and tricks. Like I said, I am not a big user of this, but Allison is. And Bobby Schmolik is also it was his topic idea. Thank you to Bobby for making this idea. And we had a lot of people kind of give some feedback as well about how to use these things. So I did my part. So my part on this is the following, this slide here, the tools itself. Here are some tools that I found useful, that can be useful. If you're new to the whole SOQL, the ones at the bottom, Steve and Matt's kind of explanations of it are going to be helpful. Actually, the one that Steven has there, that's a big list of resources. There's all kinds of resources on there. But the one I found is Matt Piper's Medium post about why you should learn it, why should admins use SOQL. So that's a good read. I would definitely recommend people kind of look into that as well. And then the tools themselves, how to use the SOQL, we'll kind of get into that in just a second. But Inspector Reloaded is a great Chrome plugin that you can install into your Chrome. And on the side of your Salesforce org, there'll be a little pop-out box that you can do all kinds of cool things. And included in that is just run SOQL queries. And Allison will probably share a little bit about that as well. And then Dan shared with us SOQLX, which is a Mac-only application that runs on your desktop computer, and it can do all kinds of stuff. I don't know exactly what it can do, because again,
Yeah, if you go to that link
Yeah.
too, there's a bunch of details about what it does. I hadn't heard about it till Dan shared that resource. I haven't used it myself yet, but it looks pretty cool. It looks like it is a little bit even more robust than what you can do in the Salesforce inspector. But
yeah. So I kind of, so Alice, I don't know how you want to, how you want to go about this, but you can drive.
Well, I know there was another slide. So Bobby, who attends this user group meeting from time to time, he's the one who suggested this topic, and he was gonna join and show us some of the queries that he runs really frequently. Some of these I've also used myself, and so these are just some example queries that for scenarios he runs into quite often that I thought would be useful to talk about. But I guess, yeah, maybe more generally, the way I like to use SOQL, which it sounds like a lot of other folks on the call do this too. Especially as a consultant, I'm in like a lot of different orgs, so I don't want to like have to create a report every time I want to assess some data. So I'll just like, for instance, I'm constantly looking at like, how many records do you have with a value in each pick list? Like, I want to know how many leads you have by lead status. Well, I can just run a real quick SOQL query instead of building a report, and just run that in any org real quick. And I do that in the Salesforce inspector. So yeah, basically anytime you normally would create like a report that you just need to assess something real quickly and you're not going to need long term, I would say try using the Salesforce inspector and try using SOQL first. Because then you don't, a lot of times when you're building an ad hoc report, you end up never deleting it and then you're just creating more clutter. So that's one use case. But yeah, I mean, going into some of these examples from Bobby, I'm a little less familiar with this. This hasn't, I guess I've never run into this specific issue that he had for this first one, um, but I don't use many recurring events in Salesforce, but apparently you can't convert a lead if it's tied to a recurring event. So this is one way of identifying those leads that have recurring events. So you can, remove the lead from the invite list and then convert the lead and then add them back. Sounds kind of tedious, but at least there's a quick way of identifying. Um, and then this validation rule one I have used for this one, and I can maybe share my screen and show what this actually looks like in an org.
You want me to stop sharing?
Sure. Let me see. Oh, yeah. Share screen. Allow. Chrome tab. Here we go. Do you all see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. Well, this was actually that first example of like this query is just, I want to know all the accounts by industry. And so I can just select the count of ID industry from the account where the industry isn't null, group by the industry, and then order by the count. and I see that most of my accounts are legal services. And so just a quick way of me seeing that without having to create a report. Or, I could do the same thing where I'm like, select, count, do this on the lead status, like I mentioned, um, from lead. The other thing I really like about Salesforce Inspector is that you don't have to like memorize all your fields. If you forgot like the API name of a specific fields, you could just start typing. So I'm like, select, count of ID, and then I just start typing status, and I'm like, okay, there's a bunch of different status fields. I want the standard status field. Um, where, and I don't want converted lead, so converted equals false. And then you could group by status. And then order by count of ID. And then here's all my I did it ascending, but here's all my leads by status. So that's what I really like too. And then even if you're really not sure what the fields are, you can blow this whole thing out. So if there's another field that I want to include, but I don't know what it is, here's all the fields on the lead that I could throw into this. And I can just, select the created date, those things like that. That specific permissions one that Bobby shared, I think I saved it, so this one is just going to tell me, so for instance, if someone says they're getting some sort of validation error, but you have no idea what object is on or anything, you just know what the error message was, you can run this query, but you have to select the tooling API, and you can run it. And then here's all the error messages. You could filter based on the error message, and then you can go directly to the validation rule in your org, and find it. So that one's really useful. The other one, another one that I find really useful is like a lot of cross object type of stuff that you can't easily do in a report unless you're doing like a custom report type. But this is a query, for example, on tasks where these fields, like the what ID on tasks, is like a, what do they call it? Combination kind of field, because a what ID can be an opportunity or it can be in an account. And this was an example where I wanted to find all these tasks that where the owner was one of these different roles, that was created in the last 2 days, that wasn't associated to an opportunity. And I can't do with these combination type fields, the what ID, I can't use like a like function with it, where I'm looking for records where they don't start with like 006, so I know it's an opportunity. But this, I can say, where the what ID is not in this other query, and I run this, and this shows me all the tasks that were assigned to these users in the last 2 days that weren't tied to opportunities. So those are just a few ones that I had. I think we can go back to the slide.
All right, let me pull this back up. Okay.
Yeah, didn't he have a couple
Go to the
more?
next one. Yeah, there's 2 more here.
Oh. Yeah, so this one, deprecating a specific fields that are part of a package. So yeah, this one's pretty helpful. Yeah, if you wanted to find to get all the permission sets or profiles where field permissions. Yeah. Essentially, where a field is being used in permission sets, so that you can remove them from the permission set if you need to, or if you want to see a table of field permissions for a specific permission set. I think this too was more helpful before they added a lot of enhancements to the UI for seeing what's in a permission set. But yeah, this is a real quick query that you can run to find that. And yeah, just like Bobby said here, the nice thing about this too is that then it gives you like a a CSV file so you can easily update or create or delete records by using these queries. I think too there was another link. I'm not sure if it was on that other slide that you shared that Matt from the user group had linked to that had a bunch of other example queries.
Yeah, the Stephen
Was it that one?
link. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Are you seeing my screen?
No, I still just see the
I
slide.
still see the slides. Okay, let me go back. Let me share. Hold on. New user who dis. Let's see. This one. Yeah, so this is what Matt Knutson shared. And this one has a bunch of useful links. So you can expand that and see some of these articles, cheat sheets, etc. So if you're getting started, here's another good place to go to get some information on how to get started on SOQL queries, how to use SOQL in your everyday life, as well as tools. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say there were some really good examples of queries. Was it
Yeah, I
under
think they're down here. They're all over the place. Let's see. Yeah, you just want to expand.
Yeah, I think. Oh, I saw Workbench too. I know someone mentioned Workbench. I used to be more of a Workbench user before the Salesforce inspector, because that's another place. Obviously, you can run queries. You can even run queries in like the developer console or VS Code, but I just find it really easy in the Salesforce inspector.
Yeah, and I was gonna. Yeah, there's all these examples of how to use the for validation rules, and a big one is always user information because the user object can be rough to report on. Like today, we just had a request. I didn't do it; my developer did, but they had a request for we need to prove a negative, or I need to count a negative, right? I need to know how many users are active but don't have no permission sets or permission groups attached to their user record, kind of a thing. And they were having trouble doing that with the standard reporting, custom reporting. So they were able to pull a SOQL query on that, and here's the list, and here's the count, and all that kind of stuff. So it's very useful in there as well. But yeah, this is the link in the file, the SO, what is it? Whatever. Will be in there.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm gonna go fast.
I think too they
SOQL by
even
Stephen.
have a like if you want to add to this, yeah, leave a comment. So it's trying to kind of build a repository of queries that are useful.
Yes. And then there's this one, which I found today, which is 5 reasons admin should learn SOQL. And it's just kind of an explainer. Of course, you get to sign up for everything, but explainer on why this particular user person started using SOQLs and how he finds it be useful. This is from 2022, so I don't know if there's an update of his opinion or, but I think they're just very useful. I also wanted to show here. Are you seeing my SOQL screen? Is this where you do the query editor? Or am I?
No, the data export.
Okay. So let's see. So yeah, so here I am in my sandbox. And then yeah, if you have Salesforce Inspector reloaded, you can just pop open the little tab on the side, and you're going to go to Data Export, and then that'll take you to what Allison was showing earlier, which has a default here. And select ID from. Let's do it from. We have a custom object called the NORC object. The NORC project object. Select that. Limit 200. And then yeah, and it's what where. Does it have to be capitalized? I know there's things I don't
It
remember.
doesn't. It doesn't.
Oh, okay.
I just usually do because I like the way it looks.
Can I do equals
Yeah.
like that? And then
And the nice thing too, when you like, even when you're doing, like, for instance, when I was doing that status one earlier, if you're filtering on a pick list and you want to know records with, where the lead status is open or something, it'll present you with all the options that are in the pick list, so you can just select it, which is really nice. Like maybe if you did type or something, where account type.
Okay, so I just did this real quick. Select IDs from the account object, limit 200 for whatever, where the record type developer name is department. And I screwed up.
Oh, because
So
you have
maybe
the
that's wrong.
limit before the where. The limit needs to be after. So the limit would.
Oh,
I mean, you don't.
you're doing double quotes as well. You gotta do single quotes.
Oh, see, this is learning in real time. There we go. There we go. 21.
Yeah.
Also,
I got a count. I got a list.
For ID, if you actually replace that, like go back to ID and then just type in fields, and then select fields all.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that first one there. It'll just bring you all the fields, and it'll automatically limit it to 200 because to get all fields, you have to do that. So now if you run the export, you'll be able to see all the fields on that object.
Oh. Nice.
And then you can also do fields custom, which will like strip out all the standard stuff like is deleted and other stuff.
Oh, so if I change this to fields, change this to custom?
Yep.
These are all my custom fields
for
that object.
Yeah. You can also save your queries too. There's like the little save query, and then if it's a query you run often, or like there's some that I run in many different orgs, and the nice thing about in Salesforce Inspector is like you can use it in any org, and I can just use the same query again in a different org.
But is it the same browser?
Yeah, the same browser. Yeah.
Okay. So multi-orgs, but one browser saved in there.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, you won't be able to do this because we have some clients where they don't give us like API access, so I can't do a query, and so it's just disabled in those orgs. But yeah.
So your users, if they wanted to have this, you need to have API access as either a system administrator or through a permission of some kind.
Yeah. Yeah.
That gives you API access. That's another thing to remember, to note.
What's also nice about it, I use it a lot, is to troubleshoot integration users' permissions. So if we're getting an integration's breaking or a brand new one that's not working, you can actually log in as that user, and then you don't have access to the Salesforce UI because it's API only user, but you still have access to the API, obviously. So then you can Salesforce Inspector still works and as logged in as a user. So then you'd be able to try to run the query or the fields you're getting and be able to see what it comes back as, or just do the API directly through that REST Explorer.
So you're telling me that if I go to share this tab, if I go to Inspector on my side panel, I log in as an integration user, I still have my little caret, right?
Well, you don't even need your caret. Like you can log in first, and the caret will still be there when you're logged in.
Right. Okay. And then as that, when I'm logged in as that integration user, I can go in here and go to the REST Explorer and then do things, or do the data import, or any of them.
Both, yeah, any of them. Data import, data export, REST Explorer, everything that.
So troubleshooting your integration users when they have, because again, same thing. We had a user today. We had an integration user today. It's like, I'm having trouble with this field, and I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, we
I
have
mean,
to go on a call.
you can also sign in as that user from Inspector as well, which is nice. So
Yeah, it's a lot faster.
yeah.
How do you do
So
that?
if you go to that
Mhm.
users tab, yeah. If you just type in the name of the integration user.
Oh, nice.
I don't know if there's one you could test out right now. That one looks good. And then if you, instead of clicking the login as, actually use the drop down button next to it near the bottom, and then go incognito. So then you can open it in incognito tab, which is great because you don't want to stay logged in as that user. But also you need to make sure Inspector's enabled for incognito. But yeah, either way, so I'd probably just select click login as, and then you'll be able to see all the objects it has access to.
And then run your query.
Yep.
Wow. Okay. See. All right. What else? What else do you want to share? What else do you want me to do?
The other thing I like about Salesforce Inspector too is that you can use it to upsert custom metadata, because you can't do that with data loader because it's metadata, not data. So if you go to data import, and then you can select, I think it's under action.
API type.
Or no, API type, yeah.
If you click that drop down arrow specifically. Oh yeah, there you go.
Yeah. So you can upsert metadata, which is a lot easier than either putting it in manually, or there's some other tools or VS Code ways of doing it. But
yeah, and I like to export the metadata first if I need to like edit it, and then you can just copy paste, and then you just paste your data in. You don't even have to like select the API type or action or that, because it will just know that it's going to be metadata if you export it in that format.
So you're using your SOQL to export, to build a query that you can then export that CSV, potentially manipulate it in Excel or whatever,
Exactly.
and then in this push it back up in that. So it's like a demand tools kind of a back and forth. If you like demand tools, I like demand tools.
Yeah,
it's like your data export import.
Yeah, I never got to use demand tools, but yeah, like that would be the concept, is like I would export the metadata in that format that Salesforce Inspector spits out, and then I would paste it in Excel, make adjustments, make new rows, whatever, and then copy that and then paste it back in here. And then it already knows, just by the data that I paste in there, it knows what API type I'm using, what action I'm trying to do, and then what object it is.
yeah.
Well, it doesn't necessarily know what action I'm going to do, but it kind of infers, and then I can change it if I need to. But if I have ID in there, it will know that it's an update or an upsert, versus if it doesn't have ID, it'll just default to create.
Well, I don't want to hog all the sharing. If anybody has any questions on them.
I've got a question about whether,
yes.
Does anyone use it to look at the field tracked history? Because our UI is just so highly customized, and I don't want to try figuring out like whether any of the Lightning apps that aren't actually in use will allow me to click through to see the tracking history of a particular object, especially if it's not one that end users are gonna use. Like there's no reason for me to like guide someone through an end user click path to see the history. I work in support, so it's more of like, okay, did this field change at a particular time, and there was like a cascading effect that happened to cause the symptom that the end user's talking about, that went unnoticed for a while or something like that. And I've looked it up briefly. It looks like it's possible, but I haven't been able to get it to work in Salesforce Inspector Reloaded, which is also my best friend for Jennifer and Allison and Nick on here.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't remember if I've done it through the inspector before. but for that I usually URL hack it. So if you're on that record, you can type in, I forget what it is, but you can like basically just like go to that page and then see the history.
Oh, okay.
Even though that's not on the page itself.
Oh. Do you switch to Classic for that? I mean,
No,
I have
no.
access, but okay.
No, I'm trying to think what it's called. Let me just see if I can.
Do you mean seeing the history on a particular record, or?
Yeah, so it'll be the record, and then you see value it was, value it changed to, and by whom, and what time. So just like what you would see in the UI, except not having to fiddle around with like the click path to get there.
Yeah, I mean, you can also do a SOQL query on the history table.
Yeah, so that's what I can't figure out how to do. So maybe that's just the copy paste that I need, is how to do a.
Yeah. I mean, for that one, I think, so you could do that URL hack, which will take you to like the proper UI, even if it's not on the page. But then you can also query that. So you can select, instead of selecting from account, you would select from account history, all one word.
Yeah. The only thing with doing a SOQL query on history, so like lead history, account history, is you can't like in a report, you can filter to new value equals X. Well, you can't filter to new value within a SOQL query. So you usually just have to export it all and then filter.
Look through it. Okay. And that works with custom record or custom objects too.
Yeah.
And then well, I mean, I'll just try it again. Whatever I did in the past didn't work, so I couldn't like figure out what errors it was trying to tell me I was doing. So I gave
it. So instead of whatever your instead of custom object _ C, it would be custom object _ history with a capital H.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thanks. I do have some sharing, but I don't know if it relates here because I work in a support capacity. It sounds like most people work in admin. Like once you get to the point that it's exported, I've found it useful sometimes just for transparency's sake with stakeholders, because you usually have your record ID, and then like just to make things easier, if you've got the name column or some kind of identifier, and then they usually have a column in there if you export it from Salesforce, or you could just add a blank column and do in Excel like a hyperlink formula, and then just hide the other ones that would make it feel very cluttered to an end user, and say like, here's the list of records I changed, or here's the list of records that I think you want me to change. Can you, go through and verify? And that way they can just click really easily, open them up, give you a thumbs up. And then also sometimes before you're even at that step, if a person brings up something that happened on one specific record and there's no documentation or history, or if you're talking to coworkers and they're also new, or they don't really understand why you would be questioning it from a user perspective, or, from a business perspective, it just gives me one more tool to say like, okay, so this one user says that they think it's weird. Whether or not I know it's working to code first, like, can I see whether or not this is a very common scenario in terms of the data? And then if I, find out like, oh, there's only a couple of records that appear like this, or if it's like, 700 records and the last modified was within a certain time period, or, there's a long history of it, but for whatever reason, created by or like within certain time frames. I've actually been able to use that sometimes to take some very skeptical admins and developers who are like, no, the code was always there, so there can't be anything wrong with it, and say like, okay, but the end users aren't doing anything different. And for whatever reason, for 7 months, this problem never happened. And so I don't think it's because it's not happening. I think it's because it's underreported, right? So like, can we maybe like, can you help me understand why it would have happened before, why it stopped, and it kind of like breaks down the barriers of like whether or not they want to look at it, because they can see the data in the number of records. And it kind of turns them into like, oh, I'm going to nitpick your SOQL query into, oh, we actually, you put together the SOQL query we asked you to, and it's showing a thing we didn't expect, which has been kind of nice. It makes it a little less personal when I approach them.
Definitely, data will get people to be quiet. Sometimes it helps to tell the story, right? Storytelling with data, Allison. Yeah.
It's a good podcast.
I mean, it taught me a lot too, because some of the things that they are asking me to put in the query when they were trying to disprove me were values where I'm like, why do they even want to see this field? But it got to a collaboration point where they're like, oh, the reason I wanted you to add this field was because you also see how this field shows all of the affected records have thus and such, which is something I knew was unexpected, even though they didn't lead with that and say like, ooh, I'm starting to get suspicious, so can you add this field as a column? So that cross object stuff that's Allison, that's definitely, because once I started realizing like, oh, there's such a long history of like the customizations are, you know, they're checking criteria across like all of like 3 or 4 lookup relationships deep, you know, or like it's looking for field values that aren't hard-coded field values, but, you know, starts with or like or something like that. Like I just realized quickly, I'm like, oh, I really want to be able to do things through reporting, partly for transparency's sake to the end users, but this is not going to happen in this work. It's just too many leaps.
Yeah, I get on like a lot of client calls where we're talking about a certain scenario too, and like, well, how often does that thing happen? And I'll just like, it's much faster to run a quick query to find out how often that thing happens than get into the report builder, add the fields, like all that stuff. It's just way easier.
Yeah.
One of the issues I've had as a client in working with developers who only do this like querying is that sometimes they don't always go and look what the end user sees, and like a field won't be on a page and they're like, oh, well, no one's ever used this. And I was like, bro, it's not on the page. Or like it's a field that's used in other record types very heavily. And then they try to build a solution, but then they didn't. And I like, it'd be super cool if in the querying capacity, you could tell, like you could do record type and then identify like all the fields on the page for this record type. And because I've gone in circles explaining sometimes like, oh, this object is used in like 4 different places for very different purposes. And this field is only used on 2 of the record types, and the versus like, so that's one of the things with the querying that I very often will always default to what is the end user experience and like double checking the actual page, or sometimes even checking reporting, because sometimes they'll be different. And then I'm always like, why are they different?
Yeah.
That's where elements.cloud comes in.
I love Elements so much.
But it sounds like Happy Soup is about to get a pretty good upgrade that's going to be pretty close, but free. So.
Wait, what?
Happy Soup?
I don't know that.
I used to use that Happy Soup to find, especially on standard fields, like where standard fields were being referenced. But then it became less reliable. I don't know. Maybe it's more reliable now. I don't know.
Yeah, I think the API, the stuff where they say Salesforce API, Elements was more reliable, but obviously costs money. And then Happy Soup, I think they also had a couple changes where like they had like you had to redo it. Like he almost had to like take it offline altogether. But he says he's working on a new version where it's gonna like give you a lot of visual impact analysis and stuff. So we'll see. But yeah, I used to use Happy Soup all the time before I had Elements, but it's a great free and fast tool if you need to check.
Nice. So we got some good resources for learning. I mean, I'm going to definitely, some of these trails and some of these readings and all the other things are I guess part of it is you just got to find a reason to do it more frequently, because it's going to be like, otherwise it'll in one live, and then while you're sleeping it'll soak out onto the pillow. So you have to really kind of leverage it every day and build that muscle, build that usage.
Yeah,
And
I would say
it doesn't sound like there's a shortage of use cases either. So
yeah, I would say that. I mean, Salesforce is an API first company, so everything they build goes through the API. So anything you can do in the Salesforce UI, you can do it faster from the API. So it's just once you figure out that is, like whether it's updating permission set fields or whatever, there's a faster way to do it through the API, and that's gonna, you just gotta learn it, and you're gonna struggle with it sometimes. I struggle with it a lot, just figuring out which field I need to get or what's the like sometimes it doesn't allow you to do certain filters, but eventually you'll get there. So
how do we ask the Salesforce Inspector Reloaded developers to put back that button that used to show you the API name like directly on I don't know if anybody used that one.
I thought it's still there.
It's still there, but
It's
it doesn't always show up.
Oh, mine never shows up anymore.
Oh,
how sad.
I think you have to be on a record page. Let me see.
If you
uninstall, I'm on a page right now. It says
it's
there.
Oh, maybe just gotta turn it off and back on again.
Does it not work for dynamic forms? I
don't know.
That's a good question.
I don't know.
I had in one org, I had a completely custom dynamic forms thing. I used the Evolve forms from that the team at Google built under Mitch Spano, who's now the Apex product owner for Salesforce. But so like it didn't work for that. But
it does. Forms. It looks like it does work for dynamic forms because I just checked.
But yeah, like you have to be on a record page. So like if you open up Inspector just on like the home page or something else, it's going to show data export, import, etc. But then if you're on an actual record page and you open that up, it'll show that show fields API.
So it can't be a Lightning record page anymore? Maybe that's what was going on.
No, Lightning record page you can. You just have to be on a record page. You just can't
not like a report or a dashboard or
yeah. I never see it anymore. I usually work on record pages. So maybe it's version 1.26 out of 63.
I'm on version 1.26.
Yeah, I'm on 1.26 also.
I don't know, it's just not there. It's never there for me anymore.
The show fields API names?
Oh, show fields API. Oh. Just kidding. I lied. I don't know what happened. I used to use it every day, and then I didn't see it for a while, and I was like, oh, I guess they took it away.
Yeah, Michael, if you click the caret and go show fields API names, right there, second button. There you go.
Well, I'm glad this is recorded. So
this is really handy. And then the other one is if you do the show all data, it'll open up in a new tab and then show you all the data populated on any field, regardless of whether it's hidden on the page or not.
Oh yeah, I've used that a lot.
Really helpful when people switch record types and there's something populated and it's blocking something else from triggering or.
Yeah.
I use that a lot too, and you can filter too, like.
Yeah.
At the top to start typing. Yeah.
You can also get to the related records pretty quick too. So then at the underneath, just the related ones, and then you can click that drop down and do an export for those related records specifically.
Yeah, so if you any of the ones that show on the far right of the value, if you scroll to one where it's a record ID in the value column, it's actually an interactive ID. Yeah, so from there you can click it and it'll give you the option to view it in the UI or view all record or view all fields of that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I'm definitely not using this enough. I go in here, I use this, I go delete, clone, whatever I need. But yeah, that's.
You gotta use it. It's magic.
It really is. Between this and Elements, it drastically changed my administrative capacity and lessened the amount of time I spent clicking around trying to figure stuff out. especially in an org I didn't build that has a ton of redundant custom code.
So I've Googled Happy Soup, so now I need to Google Elements. Is that the next thing?
Cloud.
Okay.
Yeah, I think if you work at an org, I think they're like one user. I mean, we got it before a lot of people else started using it, but I think we were $5,400 a month for just my one user, just so I could document everything in the whole org. It could be a little bit more expensive than that, but if you have a significant number of users in your org, or it's older, or you have a ton of code, or a lot of cross-reference stuff, or you use stuff like Conga where that doesn't show up in a list of like, where is this used? And you want to create those relationships in that kind of like metadata setting. That was super. I'd pay 10 grand a year to just have that ability to document all those relationships in that way. For even just for one admin user.
There's also a consultant license. I think it's only $500 a year.
Yes,
and you can use it in unlimited orgs, which they're intentional about making it cheap for consultants because they could get more clients that way.
Yeah.
So
I've never had a chance to use it, but I've heard good. I mean, obviously heard great things.
Yeah. Yeah, mine was an in-house, like we were a client buying them.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, thank you all. I think we can wrap it up here, unless anybody has anything else they'd like to throw out for the recording, for themselves, for everybody. Always welcome, but thank you for coming and sharing and engaging, of course.
Mm-hmm.
We are having another meeting in person, co-meeting, nonprofit and admin, on the 13th of November. And I believe it's going to be at the Lucky Lab again.
Yeah.
But more details and more invitations to follow as well. So,
what time?
Thanks for coming today. Really appreciate it.
Probably similar time, 5:30.
5:30. I think it's
probably
afternoon. Yeah.
Well, I can't make that one, but thank you as always for years and years taking the time to organize these things and bring everyone in. I think I've spent maybe 3 weeks in Portland this year, but I'm paying rent there. I'm just never around. But yeah, I do really appreciate you keeping the admin user groups alive.
Yeah.
Well, if you need socks or a t-shirt, let us know. We'll figure out a way to get it to you.
Yeah,
bottom line around.
I don't know if they closed all architect groups when they did that, when they axed the Well Architected program, but the architect group doesn't exist anymore, I saw.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's too bad. Yeah, echoed. Thank you so much for having this. It's fun, and definitely at my job now, where I was like, oh no, they do everything through SOQL queries, and I don't know how to do any of this. It was the women's group that's been archived. There was an office hours, and that's what I went with. I was like, oh, I'm gonna ask them how to do like this query is driving me crazy, and I'm like too scared to ask anybody at work because they're all pretty intimidating and very not West Coast. And it was just like the perfect environment for them to be like, oh, it should be .r and not .c. And I was like, it works. It's the most magical thing to be able to go through, just a really hands-on SOQL query type of exercise.
There you
go. All right.
Oh.
Is that cat? Is that kitty?
Yeah. Oh. Okay.
This is great.
Like,
actual cat.
Ooh.
No. All right, y'all. Have a great evening. We'll see you in a few weeks.
Thank you.
Thanks all.
You.
Bye.
Bye.